Right, today we're going to do something pretty similar to last time with a patch from scratch. This time I'm going to try and demonstrate the difference between a full voice and an oscillator. So if you're just getting into Euroack, you're probably thinking, well, I'm not quite sure which sound sources to get, what modules to get. You're probably going to start off with a fairly small case. And you'll be looking on YouTube, you'll be going, oh, I really like the sound of that one. Sounds awesome. You get it home and you're like, well, how do I make those sounds? And what you don't realize is that you need a whole load of supporting modules to go with your voice. So today I'm going to try and demonstrate how Manus works, which is a full voice, versus how the Ataraxic works, which is an oscillator, and the differences between them and the supporting modules that you need. So let's get started. So let's start off with the Manus first. You can see that the Manus has a trigger here as well as an output, whereas the Ataraxic's only got an output. What that means is that this has got a built-in VCA and an envelope. So you can see here is the envelope length for the Manus. And when we have the output here, we can trigger it and it will create a sound. When we take the output out of the Ataraxic, it's just going to give us one great big long drone, which could be the sound that you're looking for. But if it's not and you want to kind of create nice triggered sounds just like on the Manus, you're going to need some supporting modules. So here we have an envelope and a VCA built in. The Javelin is an envelope and VCA, which goes quite well with the Ataraxic. And also there is a filter built into the Manus here as well. Now, if you want a filter, then you'll need something like the Carbon here. So if you compare the two, you're probably looking at about $300 for the Manus, $300 for the Ataraxic. So both similarly priced, but if you want them to make the same kind of sounds, you're going to need something like this, which is probably another couple of $100 and $150. Dollar to pound, probably about 1 to 1 at the minute, so I'm quoting in dollars. So you're probably looking at about $450 here and $300 here. So bear in mind the supporting modules that you need to go with anything that isn't a voice. Then these are very modulatable modules. You can vary these. There's lots of inputs here. So things that go well. Again, if you're staying with noise engineering, they've got modules that go with these very well. So the mimetic, which we always use here, and then the attenuator or attenuverter, whatever you want to call it, probably attenuverter here with the lapses, and then clep can help out. So I'm just going to try and use this part, probably a bit of a reverb and delay to make it sound a bit better, and a little drum section over here. So let's get started. So let's first start with the Ataraxic. So we just take our output from the Ataraxic. We're just going to get a long drone. That's all we're going to get. Now, all the different parts here: comb, noise, soft fold, time mod, wavefold, and shape, as well as pitch. So there's 6 places that we can create variation here. If we go over to the Manus, no sound by default because we have to trigger this. Let's just get this back to something half normal. There we go. So it has its own envelope. Let's increase the envelope. So with the Manus, we could just simply send it through a sequencer, and we don't need anything else. So let's take a gate and send it into the trigger. Start a clock. For those of you that have seen my previous videos recently, all of these wires here are purely just clock and sync. Bit of drums over here. This is clock and sync, clocks here, all being driven by the Constellation. The only other things I've got set up is I've just sent 4 channels here into the 4 inputs here, just to give us some attenuation here. That's all set up for later. So there's our Manus. Put that to a drum beat. Again, sidechained off in Ableton via the outputs here. Can't recommend sidechain enough. Okay, so that's Manus. Let's send some modulation. Let's just see what Manus can do itself. So I'm going to use these yellow cables to keep things consistent, and we'll just send 4 different. So what should we go for? Let's go for channel 1, let's go for profundity. Sounds good, that's the deep input. Why did they call it deep? Probably because profundity didn't fit down here. Let's bring that in. Okay, let's take the second channel. Where should we send that? Maybe the filter, LPF, low pass filter. So we can start that off a bit lower. Okay, where else should we go? Let's try... Smash is definitely one that's going to make a difference. So let's go into Smash. Let's bring that in. Okay, and then we've either got Bash or we've got Saw Mod. So what does Bash give us? Quite like that. Let's leave the Saw Mod because it's affecting our pitch. So let's go for some Bash. Bring that in. And then let's give it some pitch. Okay, so that's our full voice. We can give it a longer envelope. And make it nice and tight. If you send this all the way round, it will actually drone just like the Ataraxic over here. Ooh, too many lasers. So you can see we can get a lot out of the Manus here just purely with the one module and some modulation. We don't need an envelope, we don't need a VCA, and in theory we don't need a filter. We can open this up. Bring in some hats. Okay, let's just tame that off. Stop our drums. Right, let's do the same with the Ataraxic now. So we can drone that out. We can bring in a kick, and because I've sidechained it, you'll get a kind of pumping effect here. Not very exciting. We could give it some pitch. Too short. Let's get a longer cable. But again, that's still droning. So let's send it through an envelope VCA here. So we'll send the gate out into the Javelin. We'll send the output of the Ataraxic to the input of the envelope VCA. So now we'll have a gate fired, which will open up the output. So this gives us some control. So you can see how we need three modules, because the Javelin is 2 modules in one here. So you need an envelope, a VCA to go with this as a bare minimum. However, the beauty of having a controllable envelope VCA, so if we go back to let's go back to the Manus, let's just tame it back down. Now this envelope is very basic. So if we just lower this down, and then if we use the envelope out of the Javelin, and we send that into the envelope here, we can control this with far more accuracy here. So let's send that into the envelope. See how that gives us a hell of a lot more control. So let's take this out. Let's take the kick off now just so it's more obvious. All we can do is increase that envelope there. But if we reduce the envelope right down, and then we take the gates coming out from here, this is giving us more rhythmic envelope. Now the reason is because if we look at what's coming out here, we're going out of channel 1 on the Metropolix, and channel 1 here on the Metropolix. If I just create some space, what you can see is channel 1 has 7 steps, but step 4 is of length 2. So this gives us the slight pause here on step 4. You see how it's pausing, which gives us a bit of rhythm with our envelope here. Take it out. That's just opening up the envelope every gate trigger here. We do need to tame that. We do need to tame that envelope down though, otherwise it opens up far too far. So if it's opening up all the way over here, so keep it really short. You can always increase the envelope length here with this button, which is great. That's already sending us, even on the medium length string, that's already sending us into overdrive here. Let's see what it sounds like with the kick. It's kind of a fun sound. Not quite there, but let's stick with it for a bit. Let's see what it sounds like bringing back in all of our modulation points. Probably too much. Let's just tame it back down. That's better. So there's our voice, and we're just helping the envelope out here with this envelope VCA. Right, let's try something. Get rid of the kick. Let's try something with the Ataraxic now. So Ataraxic coming in here. Let's maybe send some pitch. And then I'm going to leave these sliders in this position that we've set for Manus, and we're just going to use the second row. If you can see here, there's a second row of outputs. So let's send these. Try and use some short enough cables. Where should we go? Let's send channel 1 into comb. Let's go there. Nice. Channel 2. As we've got a low setting here, noise is a little overkill, so let's go with the low set. Channel 2 for noise. Channel 3. Time mod, that's good. Always good in the time mod. And then channel 4, again we need something low for the wavefold because the wavefold goes balmy. Yeah, let's go something in the wave. In fact, we're going to need to bring this down a bit. And then let's bring the Manus back in. And then because this is so much higher, let's separate these voices out a little bit. So I'm going to send this through a high pass filter, just give a bit of width between the two voices, and then maybe send that higher through the mimeophone for some effects. So we end up with a bass line and then something a bit higher. So how on earth does this all work? Right, output was here. So this is going to go to the output, and then if I can find it, don't make the same mistake again, send it into the input. This is the input. So let's just stop Manus for now. So we've got this in high pass mode. The way I like this, you can get some nice bass if you just tune it just right. And then let's send that output, instead of through here, let's send it through the mimeophone. And then let's bring back Manus. Just load shredding on the mimetic just gives us completely different sound. Back to the, let's go back to the first sound. Let's just tame off that bass a bit. So while you can see that a voice is far more self-contained, it still benefits from having extra things like envelopes going into it. Whereas your oscillator, you do need, maybe you don't need a filter. The Ataraxic is really good without a filter. If we go into low pass mode here, it takes too much out of the sound. It sounds really, it's really good when you make this nice and harsh. So I've never used this in low pass mode. Okay, just for completeness, let's send the clap into something. Which one should we go for? Let's take those off. I mean, what a difference just these two things make. Right, let's send it into, what have we got on 1? It's not going to make much difference. What have we got on 2? Oh, wow. Clap off. Clap on. What a great module. So whilst we're here, let's just give Clap a bit of a demo then. So clap off, let's send it, let's create 1, so that would just be 1 low, 1 high. creep. See how that just sounds a little bit too on the beat, so let's go one more. Going into the wave, so 4 needs to be low, so 2 and 4 low, 1 and 3 high. So we're opening up the filter on the mimeophone and also the Manus. And then we'll let this come through. Let's try and change the rhythmic pattern here. And again, I just like to cheat by just skipping one of these, so we'll just skip and see what happens. Totally changed everything. All we've done is change the start point. Try shred that. Again. Again, totally changed the sound. Time. And again. Right, I think that just about does it. So, just to recap, full voice Manus. Can do everything out of the box, but it is limited. You've only got 5 points of modulation here because this one's safe for the envelope. No envelope on here, so you get a 6, but you do need a separate envelope. In fact, envelope and filter, envelope and filter. So in theory, yeah, actually you're getting 4 here with the envelope and filter, and you get 6 here. So swings and roundabouts. Do you want more control outside the box, or do you want more control inside the box? Personally, if you're starting off and you're short of maybe short of cash, or you want something that isn't something that's easier to get into, I would recommend going with a full voice. If you want something to understand things a lot better, always buy something that's specialist for the job. The Javelin you can split into 2. You'd have an envelope and a VCA. I just like this because that and the carbon they're such a small package together, and they give you so much. You've even got an accent here, so we can throw in an accent off a trigger maybe, and then you'll just get slightly more coming out on those steps from that envelope. What haven't we done? We haven't modulated the filter. Where can we do that one? Send it from, I've only got one more here, the buy output. Let's try that. Just for fun, just before we go. So FM. This might be a bit crazy, but see what happens. Actually, let's set that back to 0 so it does nothing. And we can feed it in. Now, because we're in high pass mode and we've got the resonance really high, this is actually giving us pitch, which is probably a bit too much. But yeah, it's all fun. I hope you enjoyed that one. I'm going to try and do as many as I can out of this particular setup, although I may well bring this back in, as I do like it and it's quite new to me. It's a whole voice. Again, if you're just starting out, this is really good value for money. I mean, things like the Manus, you're looking at $300. This, you're probably looking at about 160, 180, something like that. It's a bit too fiddly to play. The knobs are a little bit close together, but as an all-in-one voice, complete with, in the balance here, you've actually got a sub-oscillator as well, so you've kind of got two voices. I can't recommend this highly enough. It's my first Dope for module. Don't know whether it'll be my last. Probably get some more. It's just a little bit fiddly, but very highly recommended. VCA built in, envelope built in, also with modulation, frequency modulation, got its own filter. So yeah, really like this kind of acid bass lines. It's really good for. So I'll go back to using that in the next one, I think. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.